Ladies and gentlemen, this historic day we have uncovered a true documentary from 1969 that perfectly captured the female archetype and experience, what it is to love a woman, and in the most amazing, minute detail, the science fiction prodigy, Gene Roddenberry, captured the exact habits of every single female on the planet in, what's the name of the episode again, Captain?
Elaan of Troyius.
Elaan of Troyius. Down to the detail. Men out there who are listening, if you have any question of what it is like to love a woman and be loved in return, you must watch Elaan of Troyius to get down to the iota, the female experience.
Oh, wow. Canceled. I don't know. Hey, everyone.
Captain, why'd you say all that? That was him.
Right. Welcome back to Yelling at Gaseous Anomalies, everyone. I'm your host, Captain Matt Ross, and I'm accompanied by my XO, Michael Pontone. How are we doing tonight, Mike?
Pretty good. Glad to be back. I woke up today and I said, I really want a pod today. No excuses.
Oh, well, thank goodness, because I also said, hey, where are you? But we've been away. Sorry about that, guys. We each had trials and tribulations, not to be confused with the animated series episode about tribbles, but it was been a rough couple of weeks for both of us, I would say. You had that Supreme Court trial from hell, and I have what I call my dog killer case.
Oh, God.
So,
Let's not talk about
lots
that.
of things. Yeah, no. If you guys can email me if you want, but tonight's episode is Elaan of Troyius.
Woot woot.
Yeah, I love this episode, actually. I think it's one of the best ones of season 3.
Oh, easily.
And one of the reasons why is that it's actually done by some of the more elder hands of Star Trek. You take a look, it was written and directed by John Meredith Lucas, with portions by Gene Roddenberry, which again is to show you that the people who used to do this were better than who they got. Freiberger, Arthur Singer, and some of the last several episodes that we saw, they were really terrible.
Crap.
Is the best way I can describe it. Crap. Yes. That's right. But we've got a slight run of some good ones, and this actually makes me think of season 1. What are your impressions of this episode? And also, have you ever seen this one before, ever?
No, not at all. Completely new to me. Right off the bat, when I see the green guy with green skin, I was like, okay, we're on a good start. Someone took a little bit extra time and effort to make this something different. They could have easily had some schmuck human wearing a carpet or a curtain, and he could have been playing the exact same role. Someone said, nope, spend an extra hour in makeup, make him this acid green, just to make him obvious that Kirk is dealing with someone different. The colors pop. It's got that 60s Technicolor flair that you see homaged in later Trek, like the Thaw in Voyager, and obviously the Enterprise episodes when In a Mirror Darkly. All sort, like the kind of big, vibrant, beautiful 60s psychedelic colors. And we're going to get to it, but the central character, Elaan, beautiful, unique,
yes,
interracial, biracial rather, and empowered. You know what I mean? Like a brat, but at the same time, very, very self-determined, powerful female character who's violent as a man.
No, that's her culture, but this thing also has that feeling of the 1960s Cold War, the Cold War actually of the time. That why are they being sent here is how we start off. Yeah, so it's that 1960s, and it's also Cold War. The Scott is questioning, why the heck are we over here? These people got nothing for us.
This star system's under Federation control. It's in a border area, Mr. Scott. The Klingons also claim jurisdiction. From what I've seen, that's not worth fighting about.
Again, you've got the two superpowers, the Klingons versus the Federation, fighting over this area, and they're not really sure why, even though it's in Federation space. And then Scotty says, like, I don't see what all the fuss is over in this place. There isn't anything here. But they go down there, and they have to escort the Dolmen of Elas to go marry some leader of Troyius. So this is where we start off. They're basically on their way there. I'd like that entire opening. But before we even get to it, let me just read you the TV Guide excerpt, which is usually better than anything NBC can put out, which is... Kirk must tame a shrew when he undertakes a stormy mission of peace, taking the high priestess of a warrior people to marry her enemy's ruler. Elaan, a most unwilling bride, has the hauteur of a Chinese empress and the manners of Henry VIII.
Oh,
so
hey, that's pretty good.
I actually do like that. I mean, that's just a quick version of it, but I say that's perfect for this. This is essentially Taming of the Shrew. Shakespeare's Taming of the Shrew. You have the elder sister who has got a bad attitude. She must be tamed by, well, first Ambassador Petrie with the green skin, but later we find out it's by Captain Kirk himself to try and educate and civilize her. That entire sequence going from the bridge down to into the elevator, into the transporter room, saying, what the heck's going on? I do always like, though, where Kirk goes, what's going on? He goes, well, got to wait for, Petrie says, for the dolmen to come on. And he goes, dolmen?
Mm-hmm.
What's a dolmen? Well, you didn't read the file, Kirk? But that aside, reminds me of a bagel commercial, but...
A bagel? What's a bagel?
He's too busy to read.
I guess so. He's Captain James T. Kirk. I like that opening, too, where they just beam up with the guys in the armor. Did you like that?
Yeah, no,
all the way
great.
Up, all the way to the commercial.
Fantastic. And I mean, also, this is an interesting situation where I swear there were aspects of this that were then ripped off by Frank Herbert of Dune. Because in the later, let me just say, this is 1969. You have to see when Heretics of Dune was came out. Let's just see. Heretics of Dune. 1984. All right. So in Heretics of Dune, there are these ladies called the Honored Maîtresses, who are essentially very, very sexy ladies who can blow men's minds with the power of the orgasm that they give them, and that they become completely enslaved to them. So,
could also be Sleeper with the Orgasmatron, but
oh yeah, that was a good movie. I was just thinking about that movie. It's so crazy that you said that, Matt, Captain. I was thinking about that out of nowhere about 30 minutes ago. I was thinking about one of the funniest gags from that movie, where they're who was the old sports announcer, Matt? Something Cosell? Howard
Cosell. Yes.
So the scientists of the future are talking to Woody Allen, who they unfroze, and they're trying to understand the past, and they're showing him video of Howard Cosell, and he says, "It is our belief that if someone did something truly awful, they were forced to watch this."
Come on, Howard Cosell as an announcer wasn't so bad.
No, of course.
Or whatever. But, he was actually a very smart guy and an attorney. Go figure. But just to go back to the opening, the outfits that the Elasians wear, by the way, are actually glued together placemats. That's a cost savings. And also, when we meet Elaan as she beams up in her skimpy little number, I like that like armored plate. The actress said that it was glued on her, so every time they would take it off, it would take off a layer of skin. So she actually could not stay wearing that outfit until she got into more dress-like items over there. That's Frances Nguyen. If you saw her short on YouTube, you'd know that she was actually the first interracial kiss in 1958 of an Asian woman with a white man. Coincidentally, William Shatner, just like the first interracial kiss between a black woman and a white man is, well, William Shatner again. And Nichelle Nichols. So maybe it's William Shatner. Maybe he's got that lucky magnetism. I don't know. But, I think that's pretty funny.
And he was a Jewish man who was captaining a starship.
Hey, you know what they say. It doesn't mean anything. Anyway, I do like
I'm about to say, Jews in space.
Hey, listen, I've been there. So we go to, that's from History of the World, Part 1, Mel Brooks. Very funny scene. So when we get off there, you could already tell she's an obnoxious, bratty little princess. I do like that when she comes off and she's saying, like, she's talking about herself in the third person of we, like she's the royal empress of outer space. And
In the name of my people,
Your mission is known to us. Captain Kirk, you have now permission to show us to our quarters.
my impression is that she's not really like a princess or a high priestess, even though that's what TV Guide is. But like she's like some sort of warrior, like maybe third in line, and the two planets or countries who can now blow each other up figure, you know what? If we have a married couple, they'll be less likely to do so.
Elaan is to be the wife of our ruler, to bring peace. Our two warring planets now possess the capability of mutual destruction. Some method of coexistence must be found.
But she is pissed. Did you like it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's actually funny that
Again, I like that she's coming in here with agency.
Mhm.
I like that she's talking and has her own interests as opposed to the weird mute a couple of episodes back.
Yeah.
Or is that just last episode?
That was last episode. You mean Jem, who was truly outrageous? Yeah, that's the empath.
Yeah.
See, that was...
Yeah, mute for no freaking reason whatsoever.
Yeah, and in a black box. But this is the thing, this recaptures the magic that I think that a lot of the third season has lost. You got the sets, you've got the alien, you've got the bright colors, as you were saying. Also, we have the introduction of something brand new. This officially is the first time that the Klingon warship is introduced.
Our ghost has materialized. A Klingon warship.
Which we see later in the episode. Now, I know we've seen it before in the enhanced version, but up until this point, you never saw what a Klingon warship was. Again, another Ertl creation. That's Ertl, the model-making company. Wild, right? So you'd have to...
Yeah, no, beautiful.
It is, but 3 years later, you could buy the really super expensive revision of that one for like, $500-$600. That way you could put it in your office. Wouldn't you love that?
Sure, why not?
Well, there were...
I always have enough junk in there.
Hey, I'm the only one who's allowed to have junk in his office. You should someday, maybe we'll take a quick video tour of what my office is. I got all these little things in there.
Now that would be a fun, it is quite the time capsule, ladies and gentlemen. Lots of cool little things, a lot of authentic stuff.
Yep, and you like to play with it all. Anyway,
I do.
There was complaints on this episode from the get-go. They were saying the studio and the directors and other people were saying, it's too similar in some ways to Friday's Child. You got this woman who's kind of thrust into a situation and she's going to be a leader. Some also people said it was similar to Journey to Babel. And if you think about it, I think it is very close to Journey to Babel. You've got a diplomatic incident. You've got a ship pacing the Enterprise. It could lead to war. There's the possibility of murder on the ship. It's very similar. I mean, there are some differences, but I do, one of the things I do like about it is that kind of feeling of that diplomacy thing. Anyway, getting back into the story, the first thing I like is that when Spock comes back to the bridge after escorting Elaan to her quarters, I think it's fascinating to find out that Elaan is staying in Uhura's quarters.
Captain, the Dolman is dissatisfied with the quarters provided.
What's the matter with them, Mr. Spock?
I do not know, but all the Elasians seem most irrational.
I gave up my quarters.
Yes, I appreciate the sacrifice, Lieutenant Uhura.
You would think,
Yeah.
that's a little odd, I thought. So where were all the diplomats staying?
No, I thought that, I actually thought that was a really good touch.
Mhm.
And again, just the same thing with the green guy, where it's like, all right, they thought about it and then they went a little step further. They were like, all right, listen, they're giving it to her, they're giving her Uhura's quarters, because maybe they're actually nicer than the random diplomat's quarters.
Maybe.
Because they're more lived in. Uhura is a, genius level woman with amazing culture and artistic taste. right?
Right.
So maybe they thought that she was going to be better, that it was going to be a better fit, as opposed to maybe some sort of sterile, diplomat's quarters.
You mean like
or maybe it was more, I don't know, secure.
Or like a Marriott hotel room. Yeah, I understand that, but it is a little strange to me. Although I do like the fact that when Kirk gets down there, it's like she's complaining about like, am I to be surrounded by all this crap? Essentially, it's actually pretty funny. She's like upset about all of like Uhura's artwork around her and the pillows and so forth. So obviously she's not supposed to be soft, but Kirk isn't buying any of her crap, which is what I like. He's always standing there with his arm crossed, kind of bemused at her childish antics. I don't know. I think I've dated this person at one time. It's very humorous to me. I think the line I like the best at this initial meeting is like, if the only way you could get derived satisfaction is to break things, I can have your entire room filled with breakables.
There are no more available, but if that's the only way you can get gratification, I'll arrange to have the whole room filled from floor to ceiling with breakable objects.
I will not be humiliated.
Yeah.
And he goes like, I want better quarters. Well, sorry, that's all you get. I'm out of here. And
I mean, listen, I will say this: Kirk was really taking a risk there.
Oh yeah. Well, she's also armed.
Right, and that was a shocking thing. So skipping ahead a little bit, where at the first act break, when she comes in, Kirk comes in, and the guy's got a knife in his back.
Oh yeah.
Troyan Pig was here in my quarters without any permission, so I stabbed him.
I thought that he was dead. I was like, oh man, they really escalated this stuff. I'm glad that he wasn't, because that would have made it, there's no going back from there. If he had actually been killed. It's like, okay, so this woman's too insane to deal with or work with. We have to put her in the brig and sedate her, and now we have to run it up the ladder to the admirals to see what they want to do.
Federation High Commissioner will be attending the wedding.
Oh, the fat will be on the fire when he learns the bride just tried to murder the groom's ambassador.
Yeah. Now I do like that her violent nature. But it is there. But both of them are violent. Kirk is right. Both Petrie and Elaan they both hate each other.
Captain, when I am near them, I do not want peace. I want to kill them.
You're as bad as she is. It's not required that you like each other. Just do your jobs.
And Kirk says, maybe you got to try a different tack. That's right before he gets stabbed, But he's pointing out to them that these two races, even though they can destroy each other with whatever weapons of mass destruction they have, maybe if you just talk to each other, things would get along. And it's kind of showing that Federation idealism, the humanism, if you will, to try and share, something that they might have in common, or at least just do your jobs just to get through things. You don't have to like this person, your enemies. You just got to get through it. Apparently something these people haven't picked up yet.
I despise Troyan. Any contact with him makes me feel soiled.
It's been my experience that the prejudices people feel about each other disappear when they get to know each other.
It's not in my experience.
Also, just to get back to the story, this had 13 rewrites, believe it or not. 13 rewrites, but I think it was fine. A lot of times people were saying, like, this is too much like Elaan of Troy, hence the change to Elaan and Troyius. Yes, very subtle. But, it's very similar. Another thing I like, Scotty, I think, is well used in this episode. I think the line goes like, it was like, I always think it's funny. He's like, we're going to go really slow over there. And Scotty's like, what? We're not going to use the warp drive? And Kirk's response is, you're in a hurry? It's like,
Captain, you'll not be using the warp drive all the way on impulse. That'll take a great deal of time.
You in a hurry, Mr. Scott?
That's the type of humor, again, we've been missing a lot of the times in this third season. It was terrible otherwise, these last several episodes. It was a dearth of humor and relationships between the characters. Here we see it on display again. It's kind of like a breath of fresh air. Let's see, where else can we go? Well, where would you like to go in this episode from here?
To the Klingons. I thought that was another great change. I thought that it was like, okay, a badly written episode, like a bad season 2 episode, or what am I saying? A bad episode at all. We would have seen them going through the same scene over and over again, showing how much she's a shrew, seeing what she's demanding. It would have just been the same scene 2 or 3 times and pounded into the ground. But like, nope, we need a little bit more plot here.
Mm-hmm.
The Klingons are about.
Yeah.
So on the one side, you have this nice kind of cute, goofy story of Kirk dealing with this shrewish woman. And then it's reminded, like, by the way, these little relationships are at the core of a very serious and sensitive diplomatic issue.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's kind of like the minor Soviet powers are vying for something, or like the Eastern Bloc. It's kind of, that's the best way. In fact, we later find out that Crichton, that's the chief guard. Well, every time he goes, it almost sounds like this. I tell you nothing. He doesn't have it with like that Russian accent, but I always imagine him with like that kind of Slavic voice in there when he is found out that he's sabotaging the warp drive to make the ship blow up.
What kind of signal did you send the Klingon ship?
Captain, you must know I will tell you nothing. Our interrogation techniques are more excruciating than you are even capable of.
Yes, I'm aware you're trained to resist any form of physical torture.
He did it for love, because he was in love with Elaan, and Elaan pays him no mind, which I find that even more perfect for her character.
Crichton was of a noble family. He loved me and wanted to marry me. He was furious when he heard of the announcement of the wedding plans.
And he sold out for the Klingons because of jealousy.
Probably, but why speak of unimportant matters?
It's an interesting idea that they're traitors in their midst and they're not even aware of it. Again, similar to Journey to Babel. But that does add an interesting part, not only for the first time that we're seeing the Klingon ship, but it's like pacing them and like, okay, what's going on here? There's a bigger picture. And then you have these 2 minor powers. Why is everyone so interested about everything over here? The Federation wants it for territory, but the Klingons want it for something else, at this stage anyway. I felt bad for the technician, the red shirt there. Got his neck snapped right in half. That was pretty disturbing. And I guess luckily Scotty's a quick study. He's able to find out what was broken on the ship before Kirk could go warp factor 2. I'll tell you, that was pretty lucky, I guess. Or, I know it's TV timing, but that would have been the end of our show, I guess, pretty much. I'd like to just talk a little bit more about that, the relations between Kirk and Elaan. I actually found it enjoyable to watch it. It reminds me of The Taming of the Shrew. Did you ever read The Taming of the Shrew, Shakespeare's Taming of the Shrew, or a long time ago?
I did not.
All right, well.
No, I've only ever read The Tempest and Hamlet.
All right, well.
From beginning to end.
That's not these 2 episodes. We've already seen Hamlet in Conscience of the King. The Tempest, some would argue, that's the next generation move, Generations, sort of. But this is true Taming of the Shrew. You could also watch the Broadway musical Kiss Me Kate. You have this swaggering kind of guy coming in to try and tame Kate, and he trains Kate to be or Catherine as she's known in the book, in the play, to be a more of a subservient and respectful and partner as a wife, as opposed to a shrillish, angry, violent woman always demanding her way. So in the Shakespeare play, the question is who trained whom? Did Catherine train Petruchio, the suitor who was stuck with the shrew, or did he train her? In this situation, in some ways, I think it's a little bit of mutualism. What do you think about that idea?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if Kirk's really getting too different here.
I mean, he gets trapped. Everyone says like, oh yeah, he's a player. Well, I mean, let's call it right out. Yes, he had sex, but would you say it was willingly? I think she knew about her body's chemical substances to basically trick him into like almost being a slave to her. Would you say that was consensual on his part? I don't think so. What about you?
Ambassador, if Elation women are that vicious, why are men so overwhelmingly attracted to them? I mean, What magic do they possess?
It's not magic. It's biochemical. A man whose flesh is once touched by the tears of a woman of Elas has his heart enslaved forever.
Well, if it was me, I'd be right where I wanted to be. Right where I wanted to be. Are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah. Giggity. Yeah, no, I mean, she is attractive. Yeah, but using the tears, that's, I think it was a stroke of genius. I mean, like, how many times has a woman cried on you and wrapped you around her finger, Mike? 1? 10 times? 500?
Oh, yeah, no, couple.
Yeah,
Someone that
couple.
we might know.
Yeah, we can make a list. Yes. Yeah, I've been there.
Uh-huh.
I like the scene where Kirk is trying to talk to her about, she says, I've gotten rid of Ambassador Petrie. He goes, well, I'm going to teach you things. What can you teach me? Well, this is a plate. You put things on it.
Tell me, what can you teach me?
Table manners, for one thing. This is a plate. It contains food. This is a knife. It cuts the food. This is a glass.
Leave me!
Like it or not, you're going to learn what you've been ordered to learn.
That entire little back and forth is great, up to the knife being thrown at him. I think it's actually pretty funny. That's where we're going on to. Anything on that scene that gets to you, or the tear at least, or no?
I don't know what you wanted to say. It was a pretty straightforward episode. Like I said, it was well written.
Okay, that's fair. It was well written.
There are different stakes. So let's look at all the stakes here. And that's the thing. It's a fine line. You can't overstuff an episode with too much, because then it just becomes gobbledygook. But you can't just have one or two premises in a 45-minute show, because then it's butter spread over too much bread.
Right. Like the last one.
So, quite. So, we have 1, the diplomatic problem. 2, the fact that she's very problematic personality at the center of this diplomatic problem. Because remember, each of these things could be excised. She could have just been a normal lady that they have to befriend and take to this place. 3, this whole biological enslavement, sexual element to it. And 4, the Klingons.
Right.
So there are 4 energies in the plot. Which, I think it's a perfect mix, actually. Especially that they're very different from each other.
Right. Well, they all actually, and they do actually complement each other in some ways, I think. I actually like the way they put it all together, honestly. I will tell you, and here's something that's a thing that I actually liked, is that the Frances Nguyen was actually intimidating to a lot of the other actors on the set, like the extras.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine that.
Because she came across as strong and self-assured. For her part, she said she was just upset that she couldn't hang out with Bill Shatner more, believe it or not, because they did that World of Susie Wong thing. And again, if you watch our short on our YouTube channel, you'd be able to see at least a couple seconds ago. And it's from the Ed Sullivan Show in 1958. The idea with the slap, where she slaps him, he actually slaps her. They actually planned for that. Those are not necessarily fake slaps over there. I like that. But broadcast standards had a problem with that. Shocker. They didn't like her short, skimpy outfits. They didn't like the slap. And Freiberg basically told the network to go screw itself at that point. So that was why that stuff is all in there. Because, they were clutching their pearls over at NBC's broadcast standards. Like, oh, no, Americans won't be able to handle this.
I mean, listen, it is pretty amazing that this is 1969.
68.
68. The depth of change between the beginning of the decade of what was socially acceptable and the end of the decade, it was only 8 years, and it jumped a tremendous amount. I mean, the early 60s, go back and look at it, it was the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Right? No one was walking around like this in the Twilight Zone.
No.
It was firmly rooted in the 50s.
Everyone in a suit.
And and now you've got, sexual dominant princesses who can make you their slaves if they get their fluid on you, wearing nothing.
Wait, isn't that how we got married? I think that's what it is.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I've never been happier.
Yeah.
I love marriage.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Right. The chip Don't touch the chip at the back of your ear.
Your agonizer, please.
Yes, exactly.
I do like, by the way, just to get back into our story here, Crichton sabotaging the ship, that was actually added by Freiberger. That's actually something I think that's well done and added by Freiberger for a change. That's actually kind of interesting to make him the jealous, jilted lover. But it's interesting to see how dilithium, it really powers everything on the Enterprise. Without it, the Enterprise is almost helpless. That's actually, I found that fascinating. And you see one of the few times you see dilithium crystals in a long time. They're those weird oblong shapes. I always think that's kind of neat. Do you see the workings? Doesn't do it for you? Yes, okay.
No, of course, I love it. Now, I have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry to make you
think?
Make you go here. Well, think bad thoughts. So, God, I'm sorry to bring this up. You watched all of Starfleet Academy, right?
Yeah.
See, I'm not a completionist like my buddy Matt here. I don't expose myself to trash.
Yeah, it's garbage.
Now, in that timeline, in the 30th century, whatever it is,
32nd,
there's no dilithium, right?
No, there is dilithium. There's this in one of the seasons of Discovery. I'm not sure if it's 4 or 5 or whatever the hell it is. Apparently, all the dilithium exploded, making warp travel impossible because a little boy cried because he was infused with dilithium on a sort of dimensional level, which made no sense when they told it or showed it. It also doesn't make any sense whatsoever since other races like the Romulans use quantum singularities for warp drive. Mm-hmm. It's just stupid. And besides, dilithium is used to focus energy of a matter-antimatter reactor, or at least that's part of it. It's like a spark plug. It's not really necessarily power, although it does have power. It's never really clear to me on that. Sometimes it is power. It allows them to run the ships more efficiently. And if you go back to First Contact, no one has dilithium. That's a matter-antimatter reactor that Zephyr Cochrane's using without dilithium. So
sure, but I mean that's like what, warp 1?
Yeah,
maybe
still
warp half?
Maybe it makes it go faster, but dilithium, which is a made-up mineral, it allows them to get higher and higher speeds and use different power generations. So what's your question about the 32nd century and the terribleness of Starfleet Academy? Like, why did I watch it?
No, that was...
Oh, okay.
No, more just how do they get around without dilithium?
No, they have dilithium. They wrote in themselves a backdoor like, oh, we found other dilithium. It's okay now. Yeah. Brilliant.
That was all.
Yeah.
Again, I'm never going to watch it. I am kind of curious about this new, reboot with with the new showrunner taking on a completely new take, which I'm hoping that it's just like, okay, you know what, we're going to do everything.
There's no new showrunner yet, so unless you got some better gossip. No, not yet. Kurtzman's still there until his contract runs out in a couple of months, and Paramount hasn't said what it's going to do, and this is in 2026, ladies and gentlemen, so no one knows. I just want to jump back to one last thing. It's my favorite line in this movie, and you guys all can hate me for it if you want. When Kirk tries to get into Elan's quarters, some people call it misogynist, but Kirk tries to get in, Spock stuns the guards, and Spock says, "How did you know she'd stop you?" And Kirk says his line, "Vulcan is the only planet in the universe where the women are completely logical."
Your analysis of the situation was flawless, anticipating that she would deny you admittance. However, the logic by which you arrived at your conclusion escapes me.
Mr. Spock, the women on your planet are logical. That's the only planet in this galaxy that can make that claim.
I think... Yeah, it's true. It's true here on Earth as well. But I actually enjoy that line. It's pretty funny. I think it's hilarious. And if you take a look at Vulcan women, they are pretty much the most logical creatures you've ever seen. Even T'Pol with Trip Tucker in Enterprise. But that's a story for another series. Anyway, we get the idea that the ship's sabotaged and the Klingons are coming after them and they're trying to shoot them down, so to speak. And Elan's all over Kirk, affecting his personality. McCoy decides that he wants to try and figure it out, and Petrie says he's wasting his time. We've got our action element now here. Would you know, that entire bit at the end, again, it still reminds me of Journey to Babel, where Kirk is using a feint to try and lure the Klingons in.
The senses will pick up our power increase. The more helpless he thinks we are, the closer he'll come.
What did you think of that kind of like sort of ending towards that, where we've got the battle scenes?
A nice climax, and also kind of rewarding us for being patient with the character stuff earlier in the episode.
Right. I do like the fact that the reason why everyone is excited is because, of course, the thing that they find out, or the MacGuffin in this episode, is the necklace that Elaan is given. She goes, "These are common stones around us. These are common stones," as Spock points out, and they're dilithium crystals.
What kind of jewels are in this?
They call them radiance. The necklace is supposed to bring you luck. It is of little value. They are common stones.
Now I see why the Klingons are interested in the system. May I have this?
If I can be of any help, of course.
You may have just saved our lives. Mr. Spock, do you think Scotty could make use of dilithium crystal?
No doubt, Captain.
Which is exactly what they need to make the Enterprise move a lot faster. In the meantime, the Enterprise is running on impulse.
Scotty, what's our energy status?
93% of impulse power, sir.
We can still maneuver.
Maneuver? Aye. We can wallow like a garbage scow against a warp-driven starship.
So, did you say shoot? I'm sorry.
No, I said phew.
Yes, phew.
Good thing they found it.
Yes, they found it.
I thought that dilithium crystals were going to be bigger, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on the ones that they have all set, you'll see like a large, formatted, like almost octagonal or pentagonal. There we go. Pentagonal shapes in the when Crichton makes a section rise and lower. And here these are just rough rocks. So obviously they formed them or pushed them together to make the shape that they need.
Captain, these are crude crystals. There is no way to judge what the unusual shapes will do to the energy flow.
I do, But again, we come to our final basically end over here, which is where Kirk uses his feint and knowledge of the Enterprise's what it can do, and also the Klingons' ability to try to goad them into fighting, and they basically shoot the Klingon ship to hell, so it has to flee. That's how that kind of ends out. I do like that. He basically stops short, let the Klingons fly by, and shoot at them. That entire sequence with him giving the orders, trying to aim it, even before when the Enterprise is kind of injured, Sulu saying she's too sluggish. Something for everyone, even though all that Chekhov does is arming photon torpedoes. There's like a little bit of everything in that scenes over there. Anyway, I think the last thing that I'd like to hit upon is how sad both Kirk and Elaan actually are when you take a step back. You know what I'm talking about?
No, what do you mean?
Well, she realizes is that she has to do this to save her people. She has to marry what she called originally a green pig, but there's a bigger issue at stake, and she's got nothing but duties and obligations. And Kirk realizes that too. He only has duties and obligations.
Remember me.
I have no choice.
Nor have I. I have only responsibilities and obligations.
And although in some ways I would say Elaan loves him, she realizes that, or likes him a lot, that she can't be with him as she has things to do, and Kirk has his duty and responsibilities to the Enterprise. I think they're both in some ways top of their food chains, and they just can't find any more anyone to love them in a way or to give them solace in their daily lives. And that's how I think both of them are kind of lonely. What do you think about that?
Disagree.
You disagree?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that, no, to the extent of that is what was being portrayed in that scene, but it's not true to Kirk's character. Kirk is not a lonely man. Kirk has his friends.
I don't mean lonely like without friends. I mean with companionship, a companion for his as like husband, wife, or almost girlfriend, if you will.
He doesn't want that. Can I finish?
Sure.
All right. So just to say that loneliness, which we've all experienced, is not the absence of someone around you. It is the gap between the social interactions that you want and the social interactions that you have. Which is why sometimes you hear of celebrities being lonely. You think, well, how could that possibly be? They're surrounded by people and people are adoring them. It's like because they want something different. Kirk does not want anything other than to have his best friends at his side piloting the starship. That is his epoch.
Okay, I'll give you that, but I would say that when we see him later in his life, I think he has some regrets about it, and I think that is portrayed here, or at least I think it's ably portrayed here by Shatner, where he also realized he has to get back to his jobs, and he does move on. I think there's some regret in his portrayal as the captain here. That's what I think. I think that,
No, in this, yes, this is being done for the show, which it's fine. You need a screenwriter. The screenwriter for the show, they have to make the screenplay make narrative sense and hold together. But I'm just saying it's fine here. But it's not Kirk.
All right.
Kirk does not feel loneliness like this, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, I will agree to disagree with you, sir. So I guess we'll just come up to our odds and ends, because that's pretty much about it. Elaan leaves to her job and duty, and she gives Kirk the knife, saying, "Never forget me," and he has no choice. He never will, and he takes her knife as she goes down to lead her life. And McCoy suddenly comes up with the antidote for the Elasian tears to break him out of the spell. But Spock points out that the captain found his own cure, which is the Enterprise, which is his duties and obligations, is what you were just pointing out, which he loves more than anything else. There you go. By the way, Shatner, that scene with the knife where she throws the knife at him, that was not a stuntman, and nor was that wire guided. That was for real. So she actually threw that knife into the wall, and Shatner was able to dodge just in time.
That's very impressive.
Isn't it? For both of them, actually. So, because every time I see someone throw a knife, I keep thinking Starship Troopers, where Clancy Bound throws the knife into
of course,
Busey's hand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jake Busey.
Put your hand on that wall.
Yep, Jake Busey.
If you disable his hand, he cannot push a button.
Medic! One of my favorite scenes. Well, anyway, so getting to the end here. Let's see. So, like I said, Frances Nguyen, she was in lots of things and shows. She was in lots of Broadway. She was in The World of Susie Wong with William Shatner. A lot of times the way she spoke is because English was not her first language. So she was actually basically transliterating everything. She was married to Robert Culp, by the way. He was, from Greatest American Hero. I don't know if you know that actor, and also I Spy and other things.
Can't say that I do, no.
All right. She started films with Charlton Heston, Robert Mitchum, a whole bunch of things. She was in I Spy, opposite of Robert Culp, in fact. And they were married for 3 years. She liked the costumes Bill Theiss made for her, but having them come off was a problem. Petrie, the green skin guy, that's by Jay Robertson. He was best known for his role as Caligula in the movie The Robe.
We give you a chance to recant your treason and go free. Kneel to us and renew your tribune's oath of loyalty to your emperor.
He actually steals the scene. If you look it up on YouTube, you'll see what I'm talking about. He's excellent as a Roman emperor. And this was a comeback for him. He had actually done time in jail for drugs. So Hollywood was dead to him, and this was his comeback. Didn't exactly work for him. Yeah, it was. It was. The guy who was afraid of her the most, of Frances Nguyen, was Victor Brandt, the guy whose neck was broken. And he was hanging out.
Why was that?
He was intimidated by her. She said she was so confident and self-assured. She knew what she was doing, but he said eventually she was actually a really nice person. And
yeah, of course.
I could see that. He was actually later in Way to Eden, which you'll see later.
Yeah, brother.
By the way, the writer and director, John Meredith Lucas, said he really didn't have a problem with this episode because he wrote it and directed it. So no duh. Tony Young is Crichton, basically played a lot of in Westerns and so forth. And the Klingon commander, K.L. Smith, he's later in the movie, or was in the movie, Them.
No terms. Surrender must be unconditional and immediate.
You ever see the movie Them?
With the ants?
Yes. It also
yes, I have.
It also stars Leonard Nimoy. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I love that movie. Them giant paper mache ants taking over the world. So let's just come to our final thoughts and costs. So, what do you think, Mike? Out of 6 days, that's how much this took. How much did this cost in $1968? You got a new model. You got the new outfits.
Makeup.
Phasers.
Effects. The ship.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say 201,000.
Not even close. They went
boy.
only 2,000 over budget. This was $180,483. And this was in 2026 dollars, $1,712,581.40. So how's
Hot
that?
dog.
Yeah. So I think they did a great job, even though they were $2,121 over budget, which is $20,000 today. I think they did an awesome job for what they did. There was also
spectacular.
There was also one other reason why this was 6 days, even though this was a tightly, I think, shot episode. Senator Robert Kennedy was assassinated in the middle of this episode, and it really, you would never know it from looking at this. But the actors are all professional. But Frances Newman was very, very upset because she was in a lot of social and civil rights acts with her husband, Robert Culp. So there was a full day where they were basically shut down. NBC was complaining, by the way. They said, how come you don't have more away shots? And Freiberger said, maybe if you didn't cut the budget, we could be away things. And why'd this cost so long? And it's like the bean counters kind of forgot that a major political figure that a lot of people cared about was assassinated in the middle of production. A little ridiculous.
Yeah, I've heard that, I've done a lot of research the last couple of years on the Kennedy assassination, find it fascinating. And what people obviously don't reflect on in retrospect is that Kennedy was not a popular president necessarily. A lot of people hated him.
Yeah, a lot of people
hated him. The FBI had problems with him.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of bipartisan aggression towards him.
Yes.
He was Catholic, which in a much more conservative times, there was a lot of just inherent antagonism towards Irish Catholics. But from what I gather, not true with Robert Kennedy. He was really considered to be the kind of unifier.
Yes.
And when he died, I was watching this amazing footage from the night that he was killed, where at the campaign headquarters of his rival, they get the news, and they're all horrified.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
they're
terrible.
not celebrating or anything. Anyway,
well,
nice
anyway,
little bit of trivia. Shall we go to ratings?
Yeah. So, Mike, on our scientific 1 to 10 scale, what are you going to give Elaan of Troyius?
Loved it. Excellent execution. Excellent premise. Not as entertaining as the ones that have gotten my top spots that have kind of appealed to me a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And had maybe a little bit more subtle humor and a little bit more action and a little bit more high sci-fi concepts. So I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10.
Wow. And congratulations, we finally meet on it again. I, too, am giving this an 8 out of 10. I like the story. Great minds, that's right. I like the story. I like the acting. I like the taming of the shrew aspect. I like the action adventure. It holds my interest in every scene. It's got humor. It's got enough of everything to keep you riveted to it. It's not a slog like the Empath is at times. It's not ridiculous as some of the other things we've seen in season 3. I would even argue that this almost feels like a season 1 or 2 episode as opposed to where it is. Thank goodness this is in season 3. It kind of refreshes your palate from the boredom of some of the other episodes that we've seen over the past year. This is just actually, I think, one of the best ones up there. So both of us are giving it an 8 out of 10. Our next episode that's coming on up, which stars some people that you will recognize once you see them, is called Whom Gods Destroy. So I look forward to that. Mike, anything else you want to add to this episode? Or
no. Great time. I was happy to get an actual decent episode. It honestly took me by surprise, the quality of the writing. So yeah, was very impressed. Tell us a little bit give us a sneak peek about the next one.
Well, other than being at a mental institution, I'm afraid to tell you much more. It does star Yvonne Craig, who was Batgirl. Batgirl! That's who's in it. Again, Kirk and Spock visit a mental institution, and they meet a Starfleet legend named Garth of Izar. You can actually see a different version of Garth in the Axanar short. I might post that in our community page. But that's coming up next time at Yelling at Gaseous Anomalies. And as always, everyone, if you like what we're doing here, don't forget to email us at yellingatgas@gmail.com, or don't forget to hit that like and share button and hit that bell notification button to find out when our next episode is coming on up. And also leave a comment on YouTube, people. It helps the algorithm find us and make us grow. And don't forget to buy a t-shirt in our TeePublic t-shirt store. Other than that, I think that's wrapping it up right here. So, Mike, anything else you want to say before we sign off?
Nope. Great time as always, Captain. I appreciate the journey through space. And how many more episodes do we have?
Oh, you know what? I didn't count. At least another 10. Don't worry. But we'll get through them all from A to Z, which is a hint as to our second to last episode, or the penultimate one, All Our Yesterdays. But that's coming up soon enough. Again, we'll be with Whom Gods Destroy on the next episode of Yelling at Gaseous Anomalies. And always live long and prosper, and we'll see you out there.
I did not give you permission to leave.
I didn't ask for any.
Ah!